If you don't carry a vision or you haven't never carried a vision, you think things are impossible.
Every election begins with promises. Promises written into manifestos, promises carried on platforms, promises that ask people to hope. Across countries and across the continent, leaders outline plans, solutions, and vision of change. People believe because they want life to move forward. But too often, what is promised in campaign never fully reaches the people it was meant to serve. The problem really is lack of ideas. In many cases, governments know what is broken. They know what should change. They know what the people are waiting for. The deeper challenge is execution. It is the gap between knowing what must be done and actually doing it. The distance between a promise made and a promise delivered. So the real question is not only what was promised. The real question is, was leadership prepared to carry the promise through the weight of government? People vote because they believe something can change. They carry expectations. They carry years of waiting, and sometimes they carry a burden they have carried for too long. For families, that hope was education, the hope that a child could continue, the hope that opportunity will not end at the edge of affordability, the hope that a closed door could finally open.
Dr. Opoku Prempeh, so Nana wins power after the 2016 elections, and one of the first things he decided to do was implement free SHS. At the time when we were told that almost every cabinet member it was uneasy. In fact, we heard from Finance Minister himself publicly in an interview say, I'm not really sure about, boarding, but Nanado, we're told you guys in cabinet that he wants it done. And the person he handed that to was you. I'm curious, why do you think Nanado chose you out of the lot to handle a policy that even among the cabinet ministers there was skepticism at the time, the way you were about to implement it? Why Napo?
2008 to 2016 when we won, we had a slogan, free SHS, because we thought it was a paradigm shift. It took Ghanaians nearly 8 years of 2 disastrous elections before Ghanaians said, let us trust these people and see. There was nothing, there was no hope. And we came up with a hopeful message. In fact, in 2012, near the time of the verdict, I'm told that His Excellency the President at that time, the flag bearer, Nadu, made certain moves that he's thought about it, how I've conducted myself, the understanding between me and him. He felt that his legacy, if he ever became president, was free senior high school, which was America was the first country, the democratic world, to grant free senior high school, and that catapulted America through the Industrial Revolution and things like that. And he felt that that's what Ghanaians needed. And if we come to government, he's going to entrust me with that sacred vision of his. Because he believed that I was pure, I had a history, I had been well educated, I had demonstrated leadership. So he saw in me that I could do it. And he felt that if I couldn't do it, then he doesn't know who's going to do it. And so that faith that he had in me, he entrusted me with that policy. So simple minds don't think that bold visions can be executed. Simple minds. They don't think bold visions. When I say simple minds, I mean, if you don't carry a vision or you haven't never carried a vision, you think things are impossible. He had the mandate. Ghanaians had given him 4 years to govern, and I had to deliver. And so my work was simple. deliver free SHS.
In 2017, a promise that had lived in public debate for more than 12 years crossed into implementation. Hundreds of thousands of students entered classrooms that might otherwise have remained out of reach. Access expanded, barriers were reduced. What had existed as political promise began to enter the daily lives of real families. This is what happened when promise begins to move from platform to policy to people. What had existed as promise had become the reality of several young people. The World Bank report calls it Ghana's most significant social policy since independence. For some families, it meant no longer having to decide which child could go to school. For others, it meant not having to say no when the child had done everything right. For many, it meant continuing when the journey would have ended. But delivery does not end with access and implementation. Sustaining it requires more. Systems and structures must evolve. Infrastructure has to be expanded to accommodate the growth. Across the education sector, several policy changes followed. Curriculum reform, teacher development, institutional restructuring, infrastructural development.
In government, you govern through policy and legislation. So I'll track every single from technical vocational education, which I would put it now more professional education or skills training, through free secondary school, through early childhood education, through a new curriculum for schools, through a new curriculum for teachers, through moving teacher education from diploma to degree, through moving a conversion from diploma to degree from 3 years to 3 semesters for educational workers, a host of other things. I sit back and I say, wow, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking, building new schools. Some of the schools even that we built for science and STEM and technical and vocational, people even wanted to convert it to universities. It tells you the breadth of reform that we change and the lasting impact. You realize that no matter how the government spoke about it when they were in opposition, they came into government and they are continuing. But really, the changes that were started is living. It's being sustained. The impact that was made is a generational change and transformation. And yet still the transformation, 52 pieces of policies and legislation, never at a point, cabinet secretariat, the holder of all government business, had to recognize me with a plaque.
Perhaps the challenge has never been knowing what to do. The challenge has been building the discipline to turn the vision into execution, to carry a promise through institutions, through resistance, through complexity, and into the lives of people. That is the difference between announcement and achievement, between policy and people, between ambition and trust. In the end, leadership is not proved by the promise alone. It is proved by the discipline to deliver.